And we're back.
Welcome to Equestrian, the Ponyfinder news, reviews, and interviews podcast. I'm Ryan Dash.
And I'm Jefferson J. Thacker, also known as Hoofnote.
Hoofnote, every pony knows that for the last 225 episodes, we've been completely dedicated to Ponyfinder, one of the greatest role-playing games that is out there. Today is a landmark episode for us because we are talking to the publisher of Ponyfinder, the owner of Silver Games, LLC, David Silver himself. Welcome to the show, David.
Hey there. Oh, it's been so great. All the support you guys have put behind my products. I'm sorry it's taken so long for me to actually get in here myself.
Well, as you know, we have read every single product cover to cover many times. We've both played this game so much, and we are so excited to talk about just the nitty-gritty details. We're going to pass right over the overview. People know what Ponyfinder is. That's why they come to know Equestrian.
And I would hope so. We've been here for 8 years now?
Sure, we'll say 8 years. All right, just in case somebody has stumbled across this and doesn't know what Ponyfinder is somehow, what's Ponyfinder?
All right, so Ponyfinder started with the basic concept of what if magical horses existed as a sapient species in a Dungeons & Dragons world? How would the world react? How would they react in a way that would not get them all destroyed?
Now, you say a Dungeons & Dragons world, but
yes.
I thought this was more of a Pathfinder engine.
Well, when I refer to a Dungeons & Dragons world, a Pathfinder world is still kind of a Dungeons & Dragons world. It's still basic fantasy. Expect orcs and elves and dwarves and lots of humans in various kinds of get-ups. Sometimes ripping off various cultures for no particular reason.
Sure, it's Tolkien's kitchen sink.
There you go. But now we just put our little equine friends in there, and I try to think through how would they work from the beginning? How do they not get wiped out in a place where dragons might suddenly land on them and just start breathing fire everywhere?
And how is that? How did they not get wiped out immediately?
Well, they have magic. They know how to fight. They aren't immediately marching up to you with a great big smile as soon as they see something that looks like it probably doesn't mean them any particular amount of good. So basically, I made them a D&D race first, as opposed to them just being a strange, cartoonish aberration that doesn't make any sense with the rest of the world. And everything kind of grew out from there and kept expanding over the years, as you have already noticed from the books that you read so many times.
Right. I mean, the game has obviously been successful. I mean, you basically haven't left the Drive-Thru RPG top 10 chart since you came out.
Well, every once in a while we give somebody a break, but when we put out a new book, we're right back up there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shoot.
Well, because you mentioned 8 years earlier. Now, I have it in my notes that Ponyfinder's been around for 6 years. So am I wrong? What happened there?
Well, you know what? I can find out right quick by heading over
2014 as the date or the year that the campaign setting was published.
Was that the year that it was published? Well, let me just really quick. Faster, computer. Faster. We don't have time. Okay, 2013 August is when the first Kickstarter ended.
Oh, yeah. You were back in the early days of Kickstarter when we weren't all afraid of it because we've all been ripped off 100 times.
Well, I'm happy to report that I never ripped off any of my people. All of my Kickstarters were successful and got the books out to the people who bought books.
Excellent. So you were right after the initial confusion of I'm not just going to give money for a product that might not come out. So you were in the sweet spot of when Kickstarter was just nothing but optimism.
Whee! And here we are.
Why did you choose to go with Kickstarter back in the day?
Let's be real. At that specific moment, it was what? There's other choices?
Yeah, I mean, funding it yourself.
No. I mean, at that point, I thought that was just kind of the obvious way to go, to get a bunch of people in on something and to crowdfund. Now I know that there's 13,000 options. But at the time, man, I didn't know what I was doing.
What was your background before launching your first Kickstarter?
Retail.
As a publisher? Okay. So you had never published anything before? Had you ever done anything creative?
Oh, no. I've done creative things. I even have published other terrible books. But nothing... No, they were terrible. I'm not even... Let's not try to put on our rose-colored glasses. Oh, man, they were so amazing. No.
We all had to walk before we could run.
There you go. In fact, the Ponyfinder book... actually, I'm going to stand up. Yes! I have it! You see this?
Yes.
This is the cover that Paizo doesn't want you to see!
Why not?
Because it says Pathfinder in the title.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it does say... That's one thing. They had us change that. But also this.
Oh, it's very Mauricio.
Yeah! They noticed that. And they were like, you can't... No, don't do that. So, yeah, we didn't keep that. I did not choose that. My artist literally just did that.
Oh.
And I was totally blissfully unaware until Paizo just like showed up in my email and went, you can't do that. Please stop that now. I was like, wait, what?
Now. Can we take a second, David? Because you've got, what, is it a cat hidden the lanyards in the background there?
That is my dog.
Oh, that's usually a cat kind of thing. Dogs are just barkers.
Now I hear nothing. Get back in there. All right.
All right, we'll go with 5 seconds of silence just to reset this for the edit.
Sorry.
So what convinced you there was a market for Ponyfinder when you first came out with it?
So I made that little book that I just showed you.
Mm-hmm.
That was literally a weekend of... Okay, wait, no. I need to rewind a little further. Wayback Machine. Woo! So here I was. I have already started watching the Pony Show, having a good time, and I saw a internet meme of what was, in fact, I think it was even called Ponyfinder, and it was Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and Twilight Sparkle as their respective races, and it had Pathfinder stats and Pathfinder write-up, and I squinted at it, and I went, haha, that's funny, and I wandered away. And then I got into Pathfinder after that, played a lot of PFS for a couple of months of just like really heavy PFS. Like I think I'm a 1 or 2 star GM. And then I came back and saw the meme again, and then I leaned in and squinted at it and went, wow, those rules suck. Yeah, because at that point, I actually knew what the rules should be. And I went, I would never let this be in my game. No. It's still funny, but no.
So when you said meme, I was under the impression it was just like an image, but you're saying there was actually stats for
it was a full page, yeah.
Huh.
But I didn't like it. And I went, I could do better than that. I think I will do better than that. And so I ran into my internet cave and started typing furiously. And over a weekend, I had this produced. And I put it out to the public, and people started buying it, and people started talking about it. And I was like, and I wrote it in such a way that it hinted that there was a larger world beyond it. And apparently that hooked people, because they're like, well, I mean, I want to know what's going on. What's the rest of the world? What happened? What happened? And I was like, do you really want to know? Yes, please. Yeah. Do you really, really want? Yes. Kickstarter.
That person yelled loud enough that a Kickstarter just formed.
Yes, and it was successful. And then I wrote that first book that actually explained what the heck was being hinted at in that book.
So, what is in the content of that small book that you've shown us a couple of times?
Well, it has the basic rules for how to horse. I mean, that's the most important part, right? It has the physical tribes, like the Earth Pony, Pegasi, Unicorn. Got seahorses in there, the doppelgangers, the classics. By the way, you will notice that they are not changelings because we respect IP around here. However, D&D has had doppelgangers for years. So, doppelganger it is. That's just kind of how that worked. We had a basic allotment of feats and how do pony summoners work? How do pony witches work? How do pony rogues work? I gave a basic outline of the world, but this was very strictly written in the ponies used to have something cool, and then it all got trashed. But what about the cool part? Well, I don't describe that until we actually do the main book, basically. Also featured in here is a bunch of art that I basically just took from the internet. As you've seen in the actual book, we got better about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like a changeling eventually does get found out, we are going to just remove the veil just in case anyone's like, why is he asking such basic questions? He said he was a diehard fan. I've never read these books. I have always been curious about Ponyfinder, and I'm looking forward to this interview. Yeah, I'm a fan conceptually, but all of my questions about so what is this? Why did you do this? Is because I honestly have no idea, and I'm very curious to know.
I have read not all the books, but I've read the first book and pretty much just the first book. Well, not the first.
By the first book, you don't mean that pony.
No, I didn't know that existed. I think you sent me the book.
You can't even buy this one because it has the cover.
Right.
So it has.
But you didn't just change the cover and reissue it.
I mean, I have no reason to because everything in here is done better in the actual campaign guide.
Well, yeah, that makes sense now.
So if you have the campaign guide, you're done.
And like years ago, like I said, you gave me a copy of the book, and I talked about it on air, and I was like, this is really well done. And it was like the book itself had really good production values. The rules were balanced. So when you said I can do it better, I have to take you at your word because you did a good job. I cannot speak for the veracity of the rules of the meme I did not see. But just the world was very interesting. I liked how you were stepping around the obvious inspirations, but very much it felt like a real adventure world with real danger and real fun. And these characters are really no stranger than a Flump or an owlbear. I mean, talking ponies that use swords. I've had a literal I've had a gnome acrobat that danced with a lion and rode an owlbear. So PFS has exposed me to a lot weirder stuff than this.
Sadly, they refuse to allow Ponyfinder in PFS. I did ask.
Yeah. Nothing third party has ever been in PFS, except for possibly a Monster was ported over into it, but that's an OGL thing.
Yeah, there's the two big exceptions is like the Tomb of Horror stuff, because that was in the very basics of the early Pathfinder, and then they teamed up with Chaosium to produce that Cthulhu book, and sometimes that stuff appears.
Oh, okay.
So I just went ahead and shared one of the meme pages on.
Oh, they just straight up stole the.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, but this
dressing
is
from Paizo.
Thing. They were not trying to be in any way legit. They were not worried about legalities.
But on the subject of legalities, you got the ping from Paizo, and you understand why, and it might not have been for the reasons you were worried you would get the ping. But what about Hasbro? Have they ever reached out to you and been like, yeah, no, buddy?
They have not. However, I have reached out to them, trying to get official permission to use ponies. Actually, long after Ponyfinder had been around, I was trying to tug on their strings.
Mm-hmm.
And in the submission, I even included Ponyfinder. So at this point, since they say that they read all of those, they know that Ponyfinder is there. They literally can't say that they don't know that Ponyfinder is there, and I still haven't been cease and desist. So, all right, you've read the book, so you should know I don't use any of the key things.
Right.
There's no people, there's no places, there's no events, there's nothing in there that is the Pony Show.
Right, but Hasbro wouldn't need to be able to win a case to be able to give you a cease and desist, expecting you to never be able to afford to take it to court, right? Like the fact that they never actually followed up on that is really reassuring.
I like to think so. The other thing is that there are time limits on these things. Like if they did bring it up, they would be weakening their own protections at this point.
Yeah. Well,
just bringing it to court would be weakening their position.
It's unless you are, this is the part where all shows say it's important to note that none of us are lawyers, and unless you are a lawyer, Dave. Right. So.
Well, little did you know. Did I mention I was working retail before this?
You did in the pre-show, but I don't know if you that was before this. I don't know if you've since.
No, that was on the air.
School. Oh, wonderful.
But no, law school. That surely did not happen.
But you had this like tremendous success with this product. Like, how was that? Like, go back to 7-8 years ago, and the Kickstarter is going crazy, and you've had a lot of success with it. Did you expect this thing to blow up like it did? Did you expect that you would basically be dominating the top 10 charts for a while?
No. There is literally no way that I expected Ponyfinder to be as successful as it was. And I'm still working to keep making Ponyfinder. Still Patreon. So I am working to keep all of my fans happy by making more books. Yeah.
What are some of the steps you've taken to make sure people know that this is not just a gimmick product, and to continue to raise awareness of this book that you're putting, this brand that you're putting out?
I mean, that is a tough one. For the most part, I just keep making books, and people keep seeing it, and it just kind of keeps showing up. And the people who, at this point, a lot of the people have already made up their mind one way or the other. And it's really hard to change those minds. So I guess I'm not doing a whole lot.
Well, you definitely have a crowd. Like I bring it up again, but you obviously had a lot of success. There's obviously a lot of fans. One of the earliest times we even heard about Ponyfinder was the time that Piezocone was adjacent to a BronyCon that Ponyfinder was being played at. And I hear that some Paizo representatives came to see it.
Yes.
Tell us about that real quick.
Okay, so I feel that this was like a perfect nexus of possibilities. I thought I would just be like running a little game with a couple of people, just like around a table, right? No, the con gave us a whole room with a great big display, and there were like 50, 60 people in there watching me run a game for 6 people.
Wow.
Then the door opens, and in comes some Paizo reps.
I know Wesley Snyder was one of them.
Yep, and I recognized them, actually, which is kind of rare for me because I'm terrible at faces. But I went, tink, that's Paizo.
Were they not in their Paizo blues?
I do not remember that. I'm sorry. I don't remember that.
Doesn't matter.
I did recognize them, and I looked over, and I just like very dramatically went, oh, look! Here are the people who made Pathfinder, the game that we're playing right now. Everybody, and I saw them like stunned. Like, wait, there's not supposed to be this many people here. But I basically turned the spotlight onto them and went, everybody, give them a hand! Woo! And everybody starts clapping. Yay! And then they come up and they present me a GM screen with like a bunch of signatures from different Paizo people on it.
Very cool.
It was very cool. Do I have that? Oop. It's not within my reach. Dang it. Oh, well. It's a thing. It exists. Trust me.
Did they contextualize at all why you were getting the special treatment?
Just because I was a third-party writer that had made something that basically amused them. Like, there were people at the Paizo office who are totally fans of Ponyfinder. A copy of the Ponyfinder book lives at the Paizo headquarters on their official little bookshelf. I got to put it there. It was great.
Oh, very cool. Does that mean you are based in the Seattle area?
No. That was one of the times I was at that con. I went over to Paizo, we talked, and that's when I slipped it onto the bookcase there, and it was all good.
We do have a
but
question.
no, I'm from California, Oakland.
So, just down the coast.
Yeah, it's not that far.
We do have a question from chat. Before we get to it, Perram, can you remind people what's this about chat?
Yes, because every episode of No Equestrian is filmed live in front of a Twitch audience. If you wish to participate in the show, you can get on when we record, which is usually every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. One of our shows will be recording. No, 9 o'clock p.m. 8:30 is when we get on to do the pre-show. At 9 o'clock we go live, and one of our shows is there, and we all have a live chat. And you can ask your questions, and throughout the show, we'll be gathering up those questions for us, for our guest, for just about anything you want to talk about, but usually about the stuff we're talking about. It helps. And we will forward it on and discuss those questions on the show. So we really want those questions, so please give us some questions if you're in chat right now.
John Bastille is asking, will there be a Ponyfinder and-on for Fantasy Grounds?
Ooh. Like, there really should be. I am waiting for... personally, I want a Fantasy Grounds that has a dynamic lighting, which is happening with Fantasy Grounds Unity.
Mm-hmm.
Then I need to get somebody to actually program that in. I have not actually tried programming it myself. For Fantasy Grounds, that is. I don't even know how it's laid out. Maybe I should look into that. But I haven't yet, so there's no specific plans for Fantasy Grounds right now. But I will not say that there won't be in the future. Hey, we're on Hero Labs, but not the new Hero Labs, because that doesn't support it yet. Dang it.
So we're talking about what it supports. So Ponyfinder originally came out for Pathfinder 1st edition.
Correct.
You've later ported it to 5th edition.
Correct.
Yes. And recently, with the launch of 2nd edition, you've released support material to play it in 2nd edition.
Correct.
Are there any other games I'm missing?
Starfinder.
Oh, we can have ponies in space.
We can have ponies in space. If you've been on the internet for a while, you should know that all attempts to contain ponies fails.
Then when you say that you've got support for it, are you re-releasing old products with the new systems, or is it just like, and now here's a specific product that is just for Starfinder, just for D&D 5e?
I believe one of you has read From the Ashes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So that actually has a lot of Starfinder specific material in it. Then there's also Beyond Everglow, which is literally the So You Throw Your Ponies in Space book. Thankfully, since Starfinder and Pathfinder are really close together, you can kind of grab a lot of material and just pull it into your Starfinder without too much of a hassle. But yeah, Beyond Everglow and From the Ashes are the top spots for Starfinder material. I don't really plan to go back through the books because they're not really space books.
Bastille says he wants to play a lightsaber corn.
Nice. Wait, do you mean a
laser
unicorn that wields a laser sword, or a unicorn whose horn is a laser sword?
It's got to be the horn is a laser sword.
Well, the whole pony could be laser, because it's Starfinder. Laser everything is the answer.
I mean, I can't really argue that. I mean, I could, but then I'm a liar.
But then the pony couldn't pass through smoke, so that would be bad.
Always the downsides. Why can't we just make do? Anyway, do we have more amazing questions?
Not from chat yet, but I want to go back to Bastille's previous question about Fantasy Grounds.
Yes.
Mostly just because you kind of fascinate me. Because as I was reading that question, I was like, do I have to explain what Fantasy Grounds is to him, or does he totally know that? Like, you totally recognize Paizo staff, and yet you were there during Piezocone, but at the Pony convention. It's just, and it's interesting that you've got this book that's known for being super well balanced, taking a concept that could be a joke and getting a fan base out of it that takes it very seriously. It's just really interesting that you are who you are and that you are going in the direction that you've gone.
I didn't hear a question in that, though I do appreciate.
How does it feel to be you?
Oh, slightly sweaty. No. Here's the that's kind of a thing that I do, if that makes any sense. I take things and make them work in places that they're not supposed to work. That has actually been kind of a recurring theme in my life, which is really weird, but it's my thing. Take a thing, make it work where it's not supposed to. Do it completely seriously.
And honestly, like, you've done a very good job. So this isn't meant to diminish your accomplishment. But the pony fandom is actually rather filled with like some amazing quality art built around it that could be taken as a joke, but the earnestness of it is so complete that it absolutely isn't.
You probably notice I don't use any fan art in my books. Mostly because we kind of wanted to have our own trade dress, if that makes sense.
It does. Actually, one of the things that surprised me is that you have an earth tone color scheme, that your palette is not the purple and pink like we went with for our overlay.
Nice. I mean, one of my selling points, in fact, one of my crowning things is our horses look like horses. As opposed to MLP horses that look something like a cat. I'm not sure. I love them, but they're not really horses.
No, they look kind of like gummy horses.
Close enough. I believe the best variation of that I heard is they're pig cats.
Pig cats.
Yes, if you took a pig and a cat
when you said cats, and I see it even less.
I see the pig part. Definitely. See the pig. But let's go to the basics. Ponyfinder, what does it allow you to experience? Obviously, you get to play the main ponies. Like, how compatible is it with the main game? Or how much of normal Pathfinder can be used with it? Or how much is it standalone?
Okay. One, it can be played standalone, but what's the fun in that? I have played a lot of adventure paths, except all the characters just happen to be horses and griffins and other exotic creatures. Galarian was never prepared for this. It's great. I did a 5th edition Storm King's Thunder. You know that one? I did Storm King's Thunder, except, they were all a bunch of random fae, so they would show up at the major towns, and the guards just kind of squinting at them. Yeah, we're here on business. Okay, we're watching you guys. But and it works. It just works because, one, I try to aim low, but there is one thing that almost every rules person says that I got wrong. Would you like to hear what that one thing is?
Well, I do now.
Sure.
Flying.
How so?
From level 1, if you're a Pegasus or a Griffin, you can flap your wings.
Right.
And they work.
Yeah.
And that really upsets a lot of people.
I mean,
what do you mean you can fly from level 1? Do you mean like a couple minutes a day? No, as long as you want. Just fly.
I get it. Honestly, I kind of hate that conceit in Pathfinder. I understand why they do it, because they game balance so that you only start flying around level 7, level 5 at the earliest. And it's because they gate certain parts of the content. They've balanced the entire game around certain expectations. But like, I hate when I see winged races that just have to park their butt on the ground till they adventure for a couple of months. And honestly, I do appreciate the species that just throw that out. And I guess you were one of the early ones to do it, which is why you probably got all the complaints. But now I'm looking back to a lot of the books that have been put out since then, and there's actually several official Paizo stuff that flies right away. So
I mean, you say that, but a lot of I guess you can call them armchair designers. Right. They still give me flack. Well, all the flack. Don't worry, I did it in Pathfinder too.
So, question.
Yes.
You mentioned the armchair designers. Isn't that
Yes.
what you were? But you were actually successful. We usually hear this from the other end of the spectrum of, oh, they always think they can do it better. But you just said, I think I can do it better. And then you made an amazing, successful project.
Well, I mean, everybody thinks they can do better. I just put it to the test, I guess. I mean, that's why I made that little book, just to put it out there and say, all right, guys, rip into it. And they went, we love it. And I was like, okay, guess we got to keep doing this now. This is my life now.
Okay. Back to the basics.
Woo!
Well, hold on then. I don't want to go too far from the basics because there's some stuff to explore there.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
like, you got to give Pegasi flight because, like, what else do they have? So, what are some of the other ways that you incorporated the challenges of like a quadrupedic, non-opposable thumb, large species into a Pathfinder, like into the Pathfinder mechanics?
All right. So, first of all, most ponies are medium
Mhm.
because
Okay.
they're ponies, they're not horses. You can be a large one. Those are called Antians. Those get a little bigger and they get a whole +2 to strength. Yeah. But most of them are medium. They do not have hands. Seems kind of obvious. They do get effectively one hand. It's their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
They can pretty much do whatever a human can with their mouth. With that counts as one hand. They can also wear a saddle rack, which allows them to kind of strap the weapon onto their side and then hit things with it.
Oh, okay, so not even in a way that they could draw with their mouth, but they could actually just charge and whack them with something on the rack.
Exactly. Which, I mean, put a lance there, you're good to go. Yeah.
So, how do you? I say this like I haven't read the book, and I totally have. But how do you balance the basic concepts of, say, the unicorns are magical with the fact that this is Pathfinder and most species can take any class they want to?
Well, see, that's the thing. That is one advantage of not being that show.
Mm-hmm.
All of the horses can theoretically learn how to cast Magic Missile if they really want to. Magic Missile is within the grasp of their hooves. Unicorns are just they're specialized. They can, by default, do Mage Hand whenever they want to. They can do light on their horn. It has to be on their horn. So they can make that glow. They can get other feats. There are other amazing feats to let them get full mental hands. So they can just grab things and toss them around, no problem. They're fully telekinetic. They can eventually get telekinesis because, I mean, why not? They're force ponies. That was one of the reasons why I chose to make them Fey, is because one of the main things that counts as being Fey is that you have kind of an elemental connection, but you're also a living creature. And that's kind of where I saw the ponies as being, because you have earth, air ponies. I have fire ponies. I have water ponies. I have force ponies. Why not? Those are the unicorns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just double checking. Unicorns in Pathfinder are magical creatures, right? Magical beasts.
The default ones, yes.
And the ponies, though, are not magical beasts. They are
no,
Fey.
they're just animals. Okay,
No,
so
Fey.
your version you're saying is they are Fey, and so that's what distinguishes them from the equivalent that already exists in Pathfinder.
Yes.
I mean,
also, unicorns are large, and my unicorns are medium, so...
Sure, sorry. When I say distinguishes them, like, that's the baseline distinguishing factor between a Ponyfinder unicorn and the Bestiary unicorn.
Yes, and I mean, another difference is the unicorn being a magical beast, it's a wild creature. Even though it can talk, it has no interest in any of your civilized crap. Like, it has negative interest in it, in fact. The unicorn pony, on the other hand, is probably wearing a top hat and would totally love to hear about your latest tweet.
Yeah, might open a seamstress shop.
What? No, that sounds a little too close to other things, he says, looking around shiftily.
So, not a question, but Kitsune Warlock in the chat is saying, he just says that a unicorn could take the unicorn bloodline sorcerer. Just in
yeah.
Yeah.
Why the heck not? I see no problems with that.
And this is far expanded from the core conceit of the inspiration of the fandom. You've taken all sorts of species have been integrated in this world. You've got, of course, the griffins and some of the ones to be expected from the fandom. But tell us about some of the interesting directions you've taken this in since then.
All right. Well, okay. You want races past the core book then?
Yeah.
Well, even the core rulebook seems to have a couple of them.
Oh yeah. It definitely does.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, I'll reach over here and just kind of hold up this book. Hello.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was hinting at.
This book is basically, I mean, it answers an important question. What about the furries? What about them? This is it. Anyway, that book basically gives the happy furries a place in Everglow to live. I outline 3 specific races while giving you basically build the block rules to make your own animal critter of basically what any animal you want. I don't care what animal you like. We're going to do that. You want to be an animated rosebush? Man, I'm down with that.
Okay, I'm actually
never
curious.
Did before, but hold on.
How do you pull off animated like some of the others? No, you have to tell me how you pull off animated rosebush.
Why? What would be wrong with an animated rosebush? In fact, the animated rosebush actually has less problems than the pony.
No, I totally think animated rosebushes are awesome. I was just curious as to how the Build-A-Bear turned into a rosebush.
Yeah. It's not the why, it's the how.
I give feats such that you can have a bunch of quills that somebody could end up running into, like a thorn has thorn, rose has thorns. You could be photosynthetic. I have that too. You take little things like that, and you're making an animated rosebush.
This actually reminds me of the old Palladium Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness book, because a lot of that is just building like rules to make any animal into an anthropomorphic ninja.
Yeah, except now they're adventurers.
Well, the Ninja Turtles are adventurers.
Yeah,
how dare you?
Adventuring is kind of a different. Ninjas are a little more specific than adventurers.
All right, now I see how you dare, because you are right. I understand.
I mean, wizards aren't ninjas, but you could be a animated rosebush that is also a wizard.
So
why not?
Because we are currently, recording this on 2020. Second edition is a thing. You support second edition.
Yes.
How much of the ponies are currently supported in second edition? If I'm really eager to, after the next TPK in my Age of Ashes game, to bring in a pony crew to fix the problem that the dwarf couldn't fix, how much of this content can I use?
Okay, so the core book has been done. It has been released as its own little second edition conversion guide.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that... Oh.
You say the core book, but you mean the one that's by title, the campaign setting.
The campaign setting, yes. The campaign setting. So you can be a pony, a griffin, a dog on fire, a cat with or without wings, a butterfly, or a robot. Your choice.
What? Where does robot fit in?
Okay, so you're asking about interesting races. The Steel Hearts are in the core book. I say core, I mean campaign. The Steel Hearts are essentially imagine Equine Warforged.
I can imagine it.
They are literally plants that grew into a shell of armor. And that is how they live. They can take off the armor and put on new armor if they'd like. But they are really kind of the plants, but they're both... It's a weird synthesis, which makes them partial constructs. And that is a Steelheart. Yeah. So, yes.
This is the first time robots have come up in this conversation, right? Like, I didn't totally miss this whole side conversation about robots?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe it. But don't worry, because we technically have 2 flavors of robots.
Go on.
Because there are also the Clockwork Pony.
I remember seeing artwork for a Clockwork Pony on your website.
The Clockwork Ponies are different. Basically, the ponies built the equivalent of the Tower of Babel, trying to reach up and poke the gods in the eye. And the gods do what they do and went, no, smite. And instead of smiting them to all have different languages, because they all have one language still, they smote them instead to become non-living, and they became robots. And so they are now the Clockwork Ponies. Only once a year do they regain their flesh. The rest of the time, they gotta enjoy the steel and the click, 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 click.
Yeah, you make it sound really unpleasant.
I mean, it is a curse.
And a very effective one.
Huzzah! I mean, they are still alive for the purposes of, they have a will. They would like to do things, and they go off and they do things. But they're also made of clockwork.
So before we went on the robot sidetrack, the official
Yes.
robot sidetrack, you were talking about 2E material for Ponyfinder.
Yes, all of that is available for 2E. All the things I just said.
And
there is more! Like, that book I just had! Yeah, look at that second edition! That's the second edition compatibility.
Very cool. So is that a second edition of that book, or that book was originally published with both first edition and second edition content?
That book was published with both for its very first run. From the Depths is also available second and first, because it was released late enough that I put the second edition stuff in there, and out it went. So is there anything else? Anything else? If there is, I'm forgetting it. But at least those three.
You've got about 24 products in the Ponyfinder line that I can see here. Is the idea that you're going to be straight up just updating stuff to second edition going forward, or are you going to be alternating between updates and new material? What's the plan?
Amusingly, most of it's already written. But as it turns out, writing is only the first step. And I'm waiting on my editor to edit, and I'm waiting on my layout person to lay out, and then I can put them out onto the marketplace. The writing, I am told that I am a horrifying machine of writing. I wake up in the morning. On the average day, I wake up and do 2,000 words just because, it's morning.
Nice. I only know one person that compares to personally, and that's a skill that I am jealous of.
It is one I work towards. You've heard of NaNoWriMo, yes?
Yes.
Do it.
Maybe
once you can achieve it reliably, then you have reached the next level. That's what I did not have that speed to start with. Oh my god, no. But I kept doing NaNoWriMo, and eventually I just got the hang of it. And once I could do 1,337 words a day, well, what's a few more? Yeah. And so now I do 2,000 plus, and there I am.
Now, Perram, earlier you brought up replacing your entire party in case of a TPK with a full Ponyfinder inspired party, but if I understand, it is balanced that one or a couple of people can have ponies or Ponyfinder based content, and then some people can just have core rulebook from Pathfinder races. Okay.
Yeah. Completely.
Well, good. That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
I'm running a massive living world right now with 12 people, and we had a group that was like a pony, a satyr, and a goblin went off to explore, and it was okay. Nothing exploded. Except the stuff that the goblin wanted to explode.
Okay, I was confused there for a minute. Any adventure which nothing explodes is just a bad one.
Well,
somebody screwed up.
In this particular adventure, it's more like everybody got drunk.
Oh, well, that works too.
Oh, that's a good time.
So
was that a pony? Go ahead.
We talked earlier about the Clockwork Ponies, and they got cursed and stuff. And you talked that you really created this whole world, and that was one of the big draws to it. Tell us about this world. Tell us about Everglow.
Okay. Do you want me to tell you about like the beginning stuff, or the with spoilers if you've actually put all the pieces together kind of overview of it.
What you would want a new person buying the book to know, because I
So
love
I'll
our
keep the
audience,
spoilers.
and they're expert and usually very advanced Pathfinder fans.
Yeah.
But we can't expect that they've listened to read everything.
No. It's more of I can give a basic overview, but I can give a basic overview with the spoilers or without the spoilers, because like the way you look at the world changes depending on how much you know, and it changes even the basic overview, if that makes any sense.
It makes sense. So we'll go no spoilers so that people can be people who are curious can discover it themselves.
Okay, fair enough. The basic book starts out in the post-Empire era. The ponies came, they saw, they fell apart. For several hundreds of years, they were ruled over by Queen Ileana, a pony that was 3 tribes all at the same time for the same price. It was great. She was an earth pony, she was a Pegasus, she was a unicorn, she was great. And she ran an empire, and she did a pretty good job. But she did the one thing that will sink every empire on this earth, and it has many, many times. If you look back through history, she didn't have an heir, and then she died. And when you have those 2 factors, that's usually the end of your empire. I mean, it happens more often than not. And so the empire went kaput. But a lot of people who play this game actually don't play in the post-Empire setting. They play right in the middle of the Empire. When I wrote the book, I specifically wrote it out so that I give all the information you really need to do pre-Empire, middle of the Empire, or post-Empire, and that's okay. Woo! The basic idea is you have this great big block of poniness. North of them and up in the mountains, you have the Griffins. East of there, humans. Now, I should now point out, as far as a pony is concerned, anything that has 2 legs and 2 feet and kind of squints at you, that's probably a human. Which is to say that as far as they're concerned, orcs, tieflings, Aasimar, human.
Goblins?
Human. Obviously a human. Short human, kind of green, human.
But satyrs don't have feet.
They have hooves.
All right, so human again.
No. I mean, those are obviously, they have some pony mixed in there, so they're okay.
I gotta say, you're not making the ponies seem entirely enlightened.
I mean, and some levels, they're really not. Did I mention that they, of all the various races that exist out there, there are cows? And the cows, they're called Krava, live with the ponies. And the ponies, like, just don't bring it up. They treat them as ponies, which is what the cows want.
Okay.
And it only gets weird when somebody who's not a pony looks over and goes, "Why is there a cow?" And like everybody, all the ponies in the room, like look over like you just called that person a really nasty name. What did you just say about my wife? But it's you take that back.
B. Blackwood in chat seems to be a Krava fan.
Nice. But yes, the ponies are kind of ignorant at times. I felt that was also kind of an important thing. If the ponies were perfect, that would really be boring anyway.
Bastille wants to know if there are giraffes.
Yes, actually. Remember this book that I keep waving? One of the 3 very specific races in there are giraffe. They are called the Twiga, which is Swahili for giraffe. Go figure. I'm going to flip until I find it. Oh my god. Here. Oh, no. Yeah. Yes. Ah! Look at that giraffe.
That's a giraffe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you want to be a giraffe person, grab Untamed Lands. Ah!
So it's interesting because, as I said, you've got close to 24 books, but Untamed Lands seems to be coming up just naturally over and over again. Is this kind of like your advanced player's guide? Like as far as the significance to the line?
No, it is very specifically, as I mentioned, its keyword is, what about the furries? You will note that they do have hands and feet as opposed to being 4-legged.
Are they humans then?
Well, I mean, ponies might get confused. But the Twiga are not confused. They are Fae and they know it.
So we are coming up on our hour. Did you? I don't know what your schedule is looking like.
All right, I'm doing
Basically,
fine.
we can start introducing new questions, or we can start working on wrapping things up. How are you doing?
I love questions. I
All
challenge you to find a question I cannot answer.
So you've got all these books that are already written. What is
Yes.
coming up? What do you expect to be the next release? What is coming up for Ponyfinder?
Well, I mean, the very next thing I am working on is not Ponyfinder. I feel like that dovetails quite nicely. I'm doing a Kickstarter right now. It is Tales of the City. Remember that book I keep pulling up? Oh my god, there's more furry stuff. What? Tales of the City will run in the 3 base systems, Pathfinder 1, Pathfinder 2, and D&D 5. But it'll be modern, and it will have a pulpy texture to it, which is to say I'm going to emphasize a lot of narrative structure, a lot of tropes, but it's still going to work in those systems and should be compatible with everything else, because I always feel that's really, really important. If you can support that, please do so at kickstarter.ponyfinder.net. Kickstarter.ponyfinder.net. Woo! So yeah, that's going right now. I feel
Not just going; it's funded by quite a bit.
Man, we have so much more to do. We have so much more to do. The next stretch goal gives us 5 more monsters. And you know you want monsters. Everybody needs more monsters.
So in this new setting, is there a place for ponies, or is it furries only?
The ponies, by default, would be looked at as literal little horses until they opened their mouths and started talking, and they'd be like, oh, what the heck was that? Because the furries of this actually follow the pony perception in that they see themselves just as people. The cat person and the rabbit person, they're just people. They're people. But they look at the horse and they go, that's an animal. I mean, it's on 4 legs. It's obviously an animal. It's not wearing clothes. Obviously an animal. Until it goes, hi, oh God. That is not what I expected.
I think the humans and the animals really need to just sit down and clear things up, because there is a lot of misconception going on here.
Let's have a little conversation. Well, I mean, if you wanted to be a pony and not be immediately confused for an animal, you could just, put some clothes on.
Some of them do, but it seems like it's entirely optional.
Yes, that is the thing. Yes. Just a note, in character, in the world of Everglow, if you're in a city, it's generally expected that you put some clothes on. Come on. What are you, a country bumpkin?
So what's interesting is that you have created this, well, there's a lot of things that are interesting, but one interesting thing is that you've created this massive world. It's got its own lore. It's got its own perspective, its own relationships, but there is also still, like, you do refer back to other inspirations. So, like, as the My Little Pony show went in one direction, and expectations of people going into Ponyfinder kind of wanting that show as a role-playing game, while Ponyfinder grew into its own thing, like, how do you balance expectations for what Ponyfinder is supposed to be?
So here's a part where I get to be like a strange mystic man, because almost, let's say 8 out of 10 times, I called it before the show, and then the show confirmed me.
Okay.
That's great. Like, my griffins, when I first made them up, I said they can be any bird, any cat combination. That's just always the classic. In the show at the time, they had only shown us one classic griffin. But I said they could be any bird, any cat. Later in the series, they showed us a bunch of griffins, and guess what? All sorts of variations of birds and cats. So, called it. And it's like, well, don't have to adjust anything there. Ha-ha! I win. I did Kieran, basically pony dragons. And then they eventually did Kieran in the show. I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, called it. Woo! So yeah, I haven't had to do a lot of adjustment because I kind of beat them to it most of the time.
Well done on that. Were your Kieran also? Did they have a vow of silence?
No, they did not have a vow science. The Kieran in mine are specifically dragon ponies, so they do whatever the heck they want because they're dragons.
Fair enough.
What, are you going to tell the dragon to shut up?
I might. If it's running its
Well,
mouth.
It was good knowing you.
Thanks. It's nice knowing you. Oh, wait a second.
All right. Were there more questions?
Well, I was about to prompt chat that if you have any more questions for David about Ponyfinder or about, Tales from the City, then now is a good time to get them out there because we are going to be wrapping up the interview section soon. Perram, feels like it's been a while since you've asked a question.
Yeah, you mentioned this one coming up. Actually, you mentioned. Tell us about From the Ashes and why that's a thing. I know that there's a fandom inspiration probably there. Could you just explain that and why this book was important?
Okay, so first of all, I've never actually read the fan inspiration.
Okay.
The Fallout Equestria. That is a thing. It's totally a thing. Never read it. I just went ahead and did my own. Personally, I didn't want to be called out on, oh, you just ripped off Fallout Equestria. Well, I haven't read it, so I literally can't do that. I want to kind of do my own take on the post-apocalyptic scenario, and I wanted to be truthful to the world of Everglow, as opposed to aping anybody else. Now, of course, I drew heavy inspiration from Fallout. Gamma World was in my head. You can't escape these things. That's also another reason why I didn't read Fallout Equestria, because if I read it, it would get in there, because that's just how brains work. Yeah.
Just to be clear, is Gamma World in my head, was that a Gamma World title? Because I wouldn't be surprised. Or are you just using that as a term?
No, I meant like it was in my creative space. I was thinking of it.
Just making sure.
Yeah. I mean, if it isn't a book, guys who write for Gamma World, come on. What are you waiting for? Come on.
I don't think there's anyone writing for Gamma World right now.
Is there? I'm not sure. But either way, if you want to get that Gamma World itch scratched, feel free to play some Ponyfinder From the Ashes. Available at a fine e-retailer near you. Ding.
What are some of the ways that you engage with the community? Do you have any actual plays of Ponyfinder going on right now? Anything like that?
Yes.
Go on.
Oh my god, yes. I run 5 sessions a week.
Oh, wow.
That's most of the week.
Yeah.
I thought I was bad.
There was actually one that should have been today, but I canned it to get here.
Well, sincerely, thank you for making the time for us.
I run 3 for that Living World campaign I was describing before. There's one on Wednesdays that I stream live. There is one on Sundays that I run for my top patron. It's a special patron game. By the way, I do have a Patreon.
Tell us about your Patreon.
Well, if you just have to look for Ponyfinder, haha. Basically, if you're on that, then you get the books before everybody else does, and for a ridiculously low price, like 25 cents for any PDF.
Wow.
Whoa.
That is a cool deal.
But you have to, well, I mean, it's a give and take, because you're supporting me every month. That's the whole idea. And I don't put out a book every month. But when the book does come out, you get it for a quarter. Print books you get for the print price plus a quarter, basically.
Why a quarter?
And I feel like, I knew I heard that question. Why a quarter? Because if I give it for totally free, it doesn't count for a sale. And I did ask my patrons, hey guys, if I give it to you for free, it doesn't count as a sale. If I charge you a little bit, it does count as a sale. What do you guys think? And they were like, just charge us a little bit. And I'm like, okay, and I made it a quarter.
That's really smart.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to be honest, though, so I told them, okay, here's the thing. This counts for this does that. What do you want? Because if they said, no, we want it free, then it would have stayed free. But I mean, a quarter shouldn't break anybody's wallet.
Bastille is asking if the Ponyfinder campaign setting has a cosmology.
Oh, hell yeah. Yes. Yes, completely yes. It is the most XP portion of the book, and if you don't know what XP is, it's the where you kind of rip off a character and try to be subtle about it, but sometimes not really.
What does XP stand for then?
EXPY. What does it stand for? I don't remember.
I thought it was
Anyway.
literally XP.
Oh,
experience
no.
points. Okay.
No, it's EXPY. We have the Sun Queen, who is totally not Celestia on any level. We have Blaze, who is the evil Sun Queen, who's totally not the evil version of Celestia, which I called because the evil version of Celestia didn't even exist when I made that up.
Nice. That would be Daybreaker.
Yes, Daybreaker came out later, which is another. Did I mention the I called it portion of things?
It is very impressive.
There she is.
You see things from all angles.
Well, we have the Nightmare, who is totally not Nightmare Moon at any level. We have the Moon Princess, who doesn't look anything like Luna. What are you talking about? We have Princess Luminous, who doesn't even look like Twilight Sparkle. I don't even know what brought up that name. What?
Sorry, it must have been me.
Yeah. The weirdest one, though, actually was not in the core book. It came later, and I basically just tricked myself into making an XP when I really wasn't even trying. I made a pink goddess of love, and she was put down by the shape-shifting evil god Kara, who is basically the god of the doppelganger. So she is basically like a changeling. And then I realized I made a pink royalty that got put down by something that's like a changeling. I just made Princess Cadence. Yeah, I wasn't trying for that one, I swear. But it just kind of happened.
Also, she was conspicuous by her absence.
Yes.
Also conspicuous by the absence, no Draconiquus?
Well, in Beyond Everglow and from the Depths, there are the Unspoken Spawn. Those are basically ponies that have all sorts of weird mutations. With that, you can make your Draconiquus very easily.
But there's
or
none
other
in the cosmology?
horrifying creatures. Oh, no, there is one in the cosmology. The Unspoken one!
Ooh.
You don't want to say his actual name because that will get his attention. And he's kind of a, chaotic guy. You don't want his attention. Probably won't end well. Or it might end really well. You don't know. Do you want to risk it?
Speaking of things that you've done unintentionally, one of the things I've always been impressed by when I do go about browsing for your new products is that the Ponyfinder books, a lot of them are big, thick, giant books with lots of pages and good art quality, and they're big productions, and that's not usual for the third-party space, except for a couple of exceptions. So why gigantic tomes instead of lots of little books, even though you also have lots of little books?
Well, if I do make a little book, it's going to be PDF only. If I want to offer something in print, I just don't feel right making a print book with 20 pages. That's just silly.
Right, you go 32.
Yeah, well, at the very least 32, and that's going to be like an adventure. If I'm writing a book with rules, I can generally make more than that, if it's any rules worth talking about. So if you're looking through my stuff, most of it are larger because they are rule books, not just an adventure. And not just one specific archetype. No, I'm describing a large facet of the world and all the various rule hooks I can dream up for that, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Why do you keep asking if it makes sense? Why does that? It's a very common thing for podcast guests to say, does that make sense? Yes, of course it makes sense. What doesn't make sense about it? I'm calling you out.
I don't understand me. I can only hope that you do.
Yes, you're being completely understandable.
Huzzah!
Kind of my last question for you, David, is let's say that some of our fans were kind of interested in checking this out or starting up a Ponyfinder campaign. So for both our first edition fans and our second edition fans, for each of those audiences, where should they start?
Campaign book. Definitely the campaign book.
You've got more than one of those now.
No, there's only one real... the one that literally just says the campaign book.
It literally says campaign setting.
Yes, that. Get the campaign setting. I'm now pulling it up. If you're second ed, you will also want to get, it's called the campaign setting, Unified Edition. Ooh.
That's what I was hinting at.
There you go. And if you're second edition, you will want to grab the conversion guide, the second edition conversion guide. Those are the two main books. The Unified Edition is called Unified Edition because it also has a 5th edition stuff.
And where is the best place to get these books?
At books.ponyfinder.net, which drags you to DriveThruRPG. But that's way easier to remember. Books.ponyfinder.net. You're done.
Does DriveThruRPG handle your print and print and play, but print on demand?
Yes. So all of my print books are available there, and I have awesome bundles too. Because who doesn't like bundles?
I love a good bundle.
There you go. In fact, if you're doing second edition, you can grab the second edition bundle, which comes with the campaign setting and the conversion guide together, because you need both of them. How fancy is that?
Now, earlier, or I guess sometime last year, I was talking on the podcast about wanting to introduce my daughter, who's now 5, to role-playing games. And one of the games that was recommended to me was Ponyfinder, which it seemed like a weird fit to me once I looked into it. Can you weigh in on like who the target age range is for this book?
So here's the thing. One, it is a Pathfinder / D&D type game. What tone it has is 100% up to who's running the game. 2, a lot of parents have contacted me telling me with wonderful stories of the things that they have done with their kids, just running Ponyfinder, because, hey, you got to play a pony. Yay! That makes little people happy. So ultimately, as the GM, which is what you would be, I assume.
Probably, yeah.
You would make a happy story. You would make a story that fits your kid. I give all the tools. There are some dark tools in that tool chest. You just don't reach for those. Leave them right where they started, and you tell your happy little story, and that's perfectly fine. In fact, if you play Pathfinder 1, there are some great adventures written by Playground Adventures set in Ponyfinder. It actually says Ponyfinder. And they are made for kids, because that's what they do. They're Playground Adventures.
So what would be the default? Like if I read Ponyfinder cover to cover again, what rating in, say, the video game ESRB rating style would it earn?
Oh, see that's such a hard question, because it's so much up to the person who's running the game.
Well, I just meant the content of your
more
book.
From the complexity of the system. Like,
well, see, if you're worried about the complexity of the system, then either A, run 5th edition. It's nice and simple. You could run the 2nd edition is also pretty well streamlined. 1st edition, you're going to have to hold hands a little bit. I would probably suggest 5th edition for somebody that young, but that's just me.
Sorry, I'm just looking up something. Okay. I know one of the authors of the Playground Adventures book that you recommended.
Oh, nice. Oh, they've done, I think, 3 Ponyfinder adventures.
Well, this is the first one that came up, the Sweetest Secret. Yeah, they've also got the Lonely Pony.
That's one of them.
And something else, I assume, somewhere. They've got a Facebook page. I'm going to go.
It has to do with pirates.
Apparently, I've already liked this Facebook page. I like too many pages.
So B. Blackwood says that they have played Ponyfinder with you at BronyCon.
Hey! I look forward to the next time.
Actually, a lot of very familiar names in chat are talking about meeting you in very positive tones.
Nice. Well, I try to be a source of light in a dark world.
Aw. That's nice. That's actually also a very nice note to end on. So where could people find out more about you and about Ponyfinder and about anything else you want to bring their attention to?
Oh, Pete's sake. Okay. You can chat with me at discord.ponyfinder.net. You can find the books at books.ponyfinder.net. You can find the Kickstarter at kickstarter.ponyfinder.net. You know, there's a lot of things at ponyfinder.net, except if you go to ponyfinder.net, that's actually kind of a boring page. So don't just go to just ponyfinder.net. You got to put something in the front.
I did notice that most of the links on ponyfinder.net just go to the forums.
Yeah, which like no one uses because everybody's on Discord now.
Yeah, Discord's great.
I love
It is. It's actually pretty good. I love it.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much. This was a really informative and a very different interview for us. I think it went in some really interesting directions. So I appreciate you taking the time away from your usual games to come on and talk to us about Ponyfinder.
All right. Well, I mean, you've been playing my books for such a long time. I'm sorry it took so long for me to get on here, but we addressed that today.
Well, you know, we sent you emails daily inviting you on to know Equestrian, and you finally answered one of them.
Spam folder.
Excellent. All right. Perram, where are we going next?
We will be right back with the news.
One. Sticky click.
Pathfinder news. Pathfinder news. Pathfinder news. Pathfinder news.
And we're back.
In the Pathfinder news segment, we talk about all the things happening for Pathfinder or of interest to Pathfinder fans, sorry. Sorry, I'm a little thrown off because we had real plans for this episode where it's the April 1st episode. It was going to be fun from side to side, corner to corner. We knew that we were bringing David Silver on specifically to have a nice, light, in tone conversation and then lead into what was hoping to be some nice, light banter.
Right. I mean, how, like, just about a couple of times a year, one of us brings up, hey, how about that Ponyfinder episode? Is it time we finally do it? And then something comes up that we just never got around to it. So I was really excited we were going to do it for once.
Oh, yeah. No, and the interview went really well. And
so we hope you enjoyed that bright moment of sunshine because it's over now. The news is terrible.
Our plans were dashed by reality. There was too many things that were too serious and too serious to not cover in the news. So what we've tried to do is alternate between some, real news and some fun news. And we're going to try and at least find the silver linings in all of these dark clouds.
There's not many left.
All right. Well, the darkest cloud right now is that Paizo basically can't sell Pathfinder in most of its normal channels. According to Eric Mona in a thread on Reddit, there's currently no distribution, no game stores, and even Amazon is not buying books presently, which I hadn't heard until I read this quote. That's pretty terrifying.
And it got worse yesterday.
What happened yesterday?
So the primary distributor for Pathfinder is Diamond, or there's Alliance, but Alliance is Diamond. They're the same. Diamond owns Alliance and runs it as if it's Diamond. When I order from stuff, I use the Diamond order system. Okay. And now they're saying, due to this situation, they may not be able to pay the companies right now.
Yeah, you say may not, but
it will not.
We are looking into if we can over the next week, but Diamond has a reputation for being pretty rigid and not at all friendly to the people that they work with. And so
that's very true.
Yeah. So for us to have faith in Diamond based on the reputation that anyone that I know who has worked with them feels about them, it's not looking good.
When I was running the game store, if I came out of my office like absolutely ticked off with like crushing a toy in my fist, they would go, you talked to Diamond? Yeah, I talked with Diamond.
Yeah, and Blind Ferret, where I work, also had Comic Pull, which was an online comic book store, and so we were working with Diamond directly, and I regularly heard similar horror stories.
Yeah.
So so that's the scary thing.
Diamond, you use them because you have no other choice.
Well, you know what? Already I've seen that DC is starting to work more directly with retailers and just trying to find diamond alternatives, which I know Diamond has like a very legal stronghold on the distribution in North America and possibly is it world? No, I don't think it's worldwide. I think it's mostly North America, but that's where the majority of comics and games are sold. And it seems like the companies are now accepting that it's like we cannot let the diamond model kill the comic industry at the very least, and the game industry might benefit from what DC Comics is doing to get around Diamond's monopoly.
It used to not be such a monopoly. They snatched up the comic book market, and then they started buying the game distributors too. And like there is very little choice in North America besides something Diamond owns or is partnered with or owns because they bought it. And they were terrible before they owned everything. And now that they own everything, it is just terrible all over. I rarely would open a box from them that with product I paid good money for, that had, if it was 80% right, it was a good week. Like if I got 80% of the stuff I ordered and not also you would get charged for the stuff that they made the mistake and shipped you by mistake anyway. Oh, this really freaking expensive collector statue, you're going to pay for it, and then we have to negotiate why you're sending it back to us. It was just a freaking nightmare dealing with this company. Sorry.
I think you've made it pretty clear. So a couple of silver linings from this. So that Reddit post that I talked about with Eric Mona, that is in response to people saying that it's nice to see that Paizo hasn't laid off any staff yet, and that the goal is to not lay anybody off as long as they can get some kind of revenue stream. So the good news is that Paizo has not started layoffs. Yeah. That is not the reality for every company that's out there. Right. And it is encouraging to know that the situation they are in right now, they're able to continue to pay their employees, even though the employees have to work from home and they don't have the same need for the employees. Like,
in fact, I really want to applaud everything I've heard about how Paizo is reacting to the situation. They really took the high road in a lot of the ways. They sent their people home before a lot of people sent their people home. They paid their people that couldn't work from home when before that was being encouraged. Like they were ahead of the game on a lot of things that are being talked about and encouraged in these daily governor briefings, that are coming up about this current emergency. I have to respect what they've done, but there is the reality that right now, all the fun ways that they made money, only very few of those ways are still functional.
More good news. There's a sale.
Yay!
Paizo is selling a large selection of PDFs for 25% off. Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. Even if you don't need the PDF, even if you are not sure if you need the PDF or whatever, it's actually really important that if you're even on the fence about getting a PDF, getting it at 75% of the usual price is good for you, and it is great for Paizo, and it is great for the people that are most vulnerable to being laid off at Paizo. So it's probably not the people that we've talked to on the podcast. Those are more fan-facing and have more secure jobs. But there is a large group of people that work for Paizo that we've never had on the podcast, and they just hold very important jobs that you don't get to see, and unfortunately are doing the least amount of work while they are not in the warehouse or not in the office, not at work.
All right. So I'm not going to talk about anything that I have any sort of privileged information on here, but what I will say is I'm not sure anybody in this entire industry right now is safe. Like the doom and gloom going around the circles right now, and these gigantic bombshells, like Diamond deciding to just not pay companies what they owe them. The distribution channel just completely shutting down. Paizo is in Seattle, which is one of the worst places hit, and so are a lot of the industry is in Seattle. And they can't get to their warehouses because that would be unsafe to continue operating warehouses. So even those of us who get product from them directly aren't getting product right now. And Paizo is one of the bigger companies. Like, what does this look like for 2 and 3 shop teams? Like there are basically right now every game company is at danger, and I don't think any of them is safe. I don't think Jason Bowman is safe, as important as he is. I think, unfortunately, I'm really worried that this could literally mean the end of Paizo, the end of, just name any game company short of Hasbro. And only because Hasbro can weather a storm like this, because they're freaking Hasbro. They're huge.
By the way, Luis is in chat. He has corrected me. I said a selection of PDFs because I actually did think it was a limited number of titles, but he says no, it is all PDFs are currently going for 25% off. So if you have any Pathfinder Society or Starfinder Society plans, you can get the scenarios for 25% off. If you've got the core rulebooks, but you don't have PDFs, they're super useful to have the PDFs. They're easier to search. I know that I personally like having a hardcover of every single book, but I don't tend to get the PDFs unless it's specifically for a review. I'm going to make sure that I have a full PDF collection after this. And also I'm going to be running Extinction Curse. So Extinction Curse, like the first 4 volumes are available as PDFs. I am definitely going to be picking up all 4 of those. So those are already in my cart on the website. It's a matter of just finalizing my order and seeing just how many other things I want put in there before I place the order. Because I've actually been very good about not spending my usual budget. So I have money to throw at people who produce a game that I very much want to continue to see produced.
Yeah. And say that you're like a insane completionist collector like me and like Luis and some of our other fans that I know are like that. And you own all the PDFs. So there's not anything on sale that you could buy for yourself. Well, this is a great time to buy core rulebook PDFs for all your players, or this is a great time to buy, honestly, the gift cards. Like, this is a great time to buy a gift card for one of your players or your game master and let them buy some PDFs. The company is in danger, gang. Like, everything is up in the air, and I know from all of our contacts and all of the emotion that's going around and us trying to support each other both emotionally and in practical ways that we're able to, we're real worried. And I like Pathfinder. I like a world with a brimming bunch of third-party companies that are able to support this fantastic game and give me an amazing choice of content every single month. And there is a very real reality where we're talking about how much we loved Pathfinder and finding old copies of books. And I don't really want to see that kind of world.
Perram, I ran out of silver linings.
I'm sorry. Like, this is the call to arms, gang. Like, for those of you who can't afford it, because this is we need to say that, like, this is an extremely trying time for a lot of people. Layoffs are going around all over. If you can't make rent right now, we're not saying, put yourself and your family and your loved ones in a worse condition, but some of us are in more fortunate conditions than others. We're helping each other out. We're just making you aware that the game industry is actually incredibly fragile. People are criminally underpaid that work in there. The safety nets that you would be used to in most mature industries just do not exist in this industry. A lot of people work as freelancers. A lot of people work at companies like Paizo and Wizards, and those are the really lucky ones. And even those aren't millionaires. They're not like rock stars riding around in Lamborghinis. They all have Patreons for a reason. This whole industry basically only exists through passion and the luck given to us by a very successful and strong economy that gives us the ability and time to do things like this in our leisure time, and a very few lucky people as their professional time. And that just might not be a possible future coming up.
Dragon Elvish in chat is saying he'll pretend that the exchange rate may go down a little bit because it hurts the Canadian dollar. It hurts that the Canadian dollar is so bad. But the thing is that the usual 1-2 punch of ordering off of Paizo.com is the exchange and then shipping. When you're buying PDFs, you at least don't have to worry about shipping. You only have to worry about the exchange. And I mean, I order enough stuff online that I'm just used to calculating the extra 25-30% that I'm going to be charging. So basically, the sale is covering the exchange rate.
Hey, and if you've got Canadian friends, this is a great time to buy them a big old gift card.
Well, that's a nice thought, because, yeah, you know what? We do have to deal with the exchange rate, which has not been in our favor in a long time.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, like, okay, this is kind of like a behind the curtain, but like the problem with like Canadian gamers, especially Montreal Canadian gamers, getting game product at a timely fashion, sometimes we get shipped review product. We get shipped review product early because we have to read it early to review it on the show on release date. How many times have I gotten my review product and then I get my normal purchase of the product before you get your review product just because the shipping is insane?
Yeah, I don't have a great rate of getting the review product before the review episode goes up.
Yeah. It gets insane. So this Canadians could use some awesome PDFs right now.
I appreciate that, but Canada is doing relatively great
in
terms of the crisis.
Yeah,
so
I know.
You don't have to worry about Canadians. We are almost built for this.
I know. You all made very smart choices.
We have. It's nice.
I really like Canada. I've always liked Canada.
Canada is looking better every year.
I mean, I'll get over the milk thing.
The milk in bags?
It's the only thing that just completely vexes me. And I don't mean that I don't understand it. I just don't understand why it continues to be a thing.
No, we have cartons too. We just...
Oh, I know.
A lot of us prefer the bags.
Hey, that's the part that confuses me.
Because you get like 4 liters of milk across 3 bags and it lasts you a lot longer.
Okay.
And
I don't mind that it's sold in a bag. I just don't know why that doesn't go immediately into a sealed jug.
Well, okay. So there's flexibility in that. You can have 4 liters of milk in your fridge and you can just kind of like squirrel it away in different spots until you need the one that has to go vertical and has to go on your high shelves that have a little more headroom. There's like... There's real estate reasons, fridge real estate reasons that the bags are really convenient.
Okay.
And it's a part of our heritage.
Yeah, we still hung on to the penny for some reason, so I'm understanding making odd and bad choices for heritage reasons.
Oh yeah, no, our penny is long gone. We just round.
Yeah, that's what we should do, because we spend so much money keeping the penny. It's pointless. At least we get cheap PDFs. Oh, I thought we were going to have good news.
No, we're alternating. We were just talking about bagged milk.
That was the good news?
Yeah.
Crap.
So this news, I think, hits Darren Caldemeyer more than most people. And that is that Piezocone is officially canceled. So like you were saying that Paizo has stayed ahead of this, Piezocone's cancellation was... I actually am surprised it took them this long to announce it.
Yeah.
To make a decision on it, because I don't think that a decision was made and then they just didn't announce it. It was announced in the last week or so that Piezocone is officially canceled. The reason I think that the writing is on the wall, first of all, Emerald City Comic Con was canceled, which is a major Seattle convention. It's one of the biggest conventions in North America. And so that was canceled, but that was right at when things were really like quarantine buzz was really starting to pick up. Piezocone felt very far away at that point. But as, you know, schools are getting canceled for longer and longer periods, and it's just becoming clear this is something that we're going to have to live with for, let's say, most of 2020, it became clear that with Paizo taking the measures it was taking, Piezocone was most likely not going to be happening this year. And so it officially has been canceled, which for like a weekend out of the year, that sucks. But for just the signs of what this represents, it was a good choice. And we should be looking at the positive side of it, that we were not forced to choose between our health and a fun weekend. The choice has been taken from us for the right reasons.
Right.
And silver lining there is that virtual cons are now on the rise. We already had Gary Con was replaced by a virtual tabletop convention. And we've got No Direction's own Marlowe House. So Andrew and Monica Marlowe are largely associated with IsolaCon. I say associated with, like, they are definitely a major contributor to it. I don't know where their official ranks in it, but Isolocon is something that they've recently set up the Facebook page for. And just to read the description, Isola, I'm not even sure if I'm, because it's Isolation Con, Isolacon, I guess would be the proper pronunciation. So Isolacon is the product of several tabletop RPG creatives getting together to spread some good in uncertain times. Podcasters, streamers, designers, artists, and publishers all coming together to do good in the world. The first event, Isolacon April 2020, will be held virtually on April 18th and 19th. Will benefit the RPG Creators Relief Fund. So that goes back to what you were talking about how it's not, it's not a career that you can retire on and roll around in, or swim through your vault of gold coins. If you are in the RPG business, odds are you in it as a passion for RPG creation, and the idea that the industry is shaky. Something like the RPG Creators Relief Fund is definitely a worthy cause for people who, like, for people in the hobby like us. You can see the benefit of it. And so it's actually a series of conventions from the looks of it. The first one being April 18th and 19th. It is an online convention. As we get closer to those dates, and as I do proper research, because unfortunately I've been a little busy this week, I just have to assume I'm going to be extremely busy for the entire quarantine. But I'm going to make every effort to get the information so that we can share it. Just updates on what's going on with Isolacon and what the upcoming events are and what you can do to participate. I know right now you can look for ISOLACON on Facebook. There's an event page there, a group for it, that you can get the latest happenings and see if it's something that you can participate in.
Mm-hmm. Good news, because this came out like literally as we were recording the next episodes of Stellar, which some of our fans got to watch yesterday. And if you haven't got to watch them and you're interested in spoiling yourself a little bit, very fun episodes these last couple of weeks. Very, very fun. But we were playing in, against the Aeon Throne. And then we were talking about how V was, she's a Roll20 whiz. She really impresses me with her knowledge of Roll20 and these macros. She just pops out. And she's like pulling in assets and custom doing the Aeon Throne thing. And now it's free. Because a selection of Starfinder and Pathfinder stuff on Roll20 is now free. So if you are like many people and you need to play your Pathfinder games and get your RPG fix online, which is true of me and all my groups, all my in-person groups, except for the one I play with only family members I'm currently quarantined with, have moved to Roll20. Well, now there's a selection of great content on Roll20 that you can play right now for free. And I will tell you from our experience with War for the Crown, it is impressive and super convenient that all the handouts and NPC art and all the stats are just like at a button click away. It's great. We do have to disclose that Roll20, of course, sponsors some of our shows, one of our shows. No Direction of Interest, and so we aren't completely unbiased, but hey, it's a free thing. How much are we really risking here?
I believe it's free until May 31st as of now.
Right. So go do that while you can. It's a great time to try out Starfinder. Against the Aeon Throne is a fantastic intro adventure for the Starfinder game system. I think in a lot of ways it's a lot better than the original Dead Sons adventure path for that purpose.
Yeah, and that's not the only free sample or charity bundles that are on the rise. So there are a lot of companies that want to encourage you to check out their stuff. If you are looking for something to read, now is a great time because there are a lot of core rulebooks for RPGs that are being given out for free or at a discount. You can go to DriveThruRPG, check out the deal of the day, and you'll be seeing deep discounts, much deeper than we are used to on RPG products. Especially PDFs are usually priced for like with a very modest profit line. And some of the things that are some of the charity bundles that I want to bring attention to, there is on Humble Bundle, the Conquer COVID-19 bundle, which has mostly video games in it. However, if you scroll down to the book section, you will see that the Starfinder Packed Worlds campaign setting is one of the books that you get for your, it says $43 Canadian. I don't know what the American equivalent is, probably around 28.
I will tell you right now, it is, because I am in America. I had the thing muted because train! More train! Which is good. That means they fixed the gigantic train wreck that was right outside my house. It's $30.
$30? Okay. So on top of that, you get a whole bunch of books. You get the first volume of Lock and Key, which is now a Netflix series. Oh, Saga Volume 1. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. Like some great books and an absolutely redonkulously good selection of games. Undertale, one of my favorite games of all time. Hollow Knight, and one of the best side-scrolling action games to be released in this decade. Into the Breach is pure bliss in tactical strategy. The Witness, it will break your brain. Super Hot. If you haven't played Super Hot, if you get this bundle, go play it and do not let anybody spoil it for you. Just go play it. Enjoy that complete experience without any more explanation. Tilt Brush, I talk about doing art in 3D and VR all the time. Hey, free fantastic software to do that. Fahrenheit is one of my absolute favorite adventure games ever, and it was produced back in a time when adventure games were completely extinct, and it was crazy to see somebody try to do one of those again. Darksiders 1 and 2, fantastic fantasy apocalypse games. Brothers is an experience you also don't want spoiled for you, and it's only about an evening's worth of time. And Psychonauts, I think everybody, if you have a computer and a Steam account, aren't you just like contractually obligated to own Psychonauts?
Well, now I own Psychonauts because I supported this Humble Bundle, but I know its reputation but have not played it yet.
Right. So I'm just going through the list here of like the best
things on the list that I have played and enjoy. You've got Jackbox Party Pack 2. Any Jackbox is worth the time.
We played that on
Stick Fight. I have, Stick Fight is a game that I have played just for hours on ends with friends. That it's very easy to play game after game. To make tournaments out of it, to just make it casual play. Worms Revolution, I don't know specifically, but Worms definitely passed a lot of my time when I was
I've played Revolution.
College.
It's one of the better versions of Worms.
Nice. I enjoy Brutal Legend. It's fun having a Jack Black. What's the name of the guy who did Day of the Tentacle?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, so the creative person behind Day of the Tentacle and Jack Black worked together to create Brutal Legend. And it's basically about a death metal bard going through a post-apocalyptic land. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a weird RPG/strategy hybrid thing that totally works, and that game is worth launching just to enjoy the absolute incredible menu that it has, which was all filmed with film. You just go launch the game and play with that menu. That will have been worth your time.
And Luis in chat says it is Tim Schafer is the name I was looking for. Thank you, Luis.
And I'm sure a lot of these other games are great too. Magica is great. It's a fantastic take on what a top-down action RPG can be like. Broken Age. I
feel like I've heard of World of Goo.
World of Goo is awesome. I didn't explain it because it's one of those games where I just assume everybody owns a copy because of how often it's been in bundles like this. But if you haven't played World of Goo, it's a fun little puzzle game that deals with fluid dynamics, and it has a very cute atmosphere with some strangely dark undertones. And it's worth it. VVVVVV, if you haven't played it, it's one of those early games right before Super Meat Boy came out, like the super intense, hardcore platforming. This is like one of the games that brought that back into fashion, and it still is a great time.
Just looking through the books, there is a strange combination of books here. It's a lot of comics, but then we've got coping skills. I saw mindfulness for kids, and it's 30 fun activities to stay calm, happy, and in control, which I can definitely see the value of currently. Animal kind, like there's a lot of things that I am curious about, and there is just no theme to the book section.
No.
It is all over the place. Entertainment, self-help, and Starfinder.
Yeah. Like when I saw the Starfinder book in here, I was like, what? Also, Pact World is a great book. For those of you who haven't listened to our review of it, it's a fantastic little campaign setting book. It does a really good job of like doing what Starfinder does really well, of mixing in crunch that is really thematic with the flavor. I'm trying really hard not to say fluff. Huh?
What's wrong with flavor?
I said I'm trying really hard not to say fluff.
Oh, fluff. Okay.
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah, still. I'm
It's
used
been
to
years
it.
since
I did
fluff
it for
stopped being.
I did it for most of my life except for the last 2 years.
2 years? It's been way more than 2 years since flavor
What?
took over from fluff as the dominant term.
Yeah, but we only had an argument about it 2 years ago.
I don't even think that's true. 2 years ago was playtest.
Oh God, really?
It's yeah. Flavor versus fluff is long before that. I'd say 4 years ago.
But
I'm curious enough that I'm going to look it up.
But basically, it was doing a lot of what Pathfinder is doing with the Lost Omens line now that we love so much, where it's like weaving in the rules elements inside of the story elements very, very well. Also, it's got pink dinosaurs with mantis claws that run over the elf planet, and that's great. Castorville's weird.
I have not found the episode where we talk about flavor versus fluff. Description of it says they remember a flavor versus fluff argument. It was around the playtest era, so maybe you were right, Perram. Maybe it was only a couple of years ago. Finally, this is just purely positive news. The 2E beginner box was announced.
Yay! And
this is a November release, so like you were saying, it is a tumultuous time. So ideally, we will get to November and we will be getting this new product. But I think that the 2E is something that could definitely benefit from having a beginner box. I think the core rule book at times is detrimental to beginners getting into 2E. It's got some organization issues and some overlap between playtest ideas and 2E ideas that are gone as of the next. Like the World Guide doesn't show those. Sorry, the Lost Omen books don't have them. The core rule book is still a little bit of a finicky product for me. I also have a lot of trouble finding things where I think they are. Whereas I think having the beginner box just as a new way to highlight what this system is, how to play it, and take out the 600-page book that you give to a new player and say, like, here, you need to know a bit of this. Like, have a nice, well-presented box set that has just a single book within it that says, this is for you, the rest is for me as the GM, and we'll play together. It's a lot easier to digest. There we go. It's an 80-page Hero's Handbook. That is a small fraction of the 600-page book that the core rulebook is.
And it very much is like mirroring the quality of the original beginner box, at least in what it says is inside. So you know all the pawns, all the dice, all that jazz, which we were super impressed with. Like, it's a big thick box for a reason, unlike other games' big thick boxes, which is 10% reason and 90% giant cardboard razor.
Yeah, mostly just to take up an impressive, like to display impressively in the game store shelf.
Right. Not that I'm talking about any specific game. But, that's a big, thick box of stuff. And that's why it costs $10 more than most beginner boxes do. I used to, and I probably will still resume this once there's complications here. But in theory, I would love to do this again, where at my FLGS, I had a running tab there where the FLGS was instructed to, if they saw somebody they thought was genuinely interested in Pathfinder, they would give them a box, and then every week I'd go in and pay off however many boxes they gave out.
Wow. Descriptivist in chat wants to know if you are fighting if your first level characters are fighting a dragon in this beginner box. Doesn't say specifically, but there is a dragon on the cover, and this is original art for this box, so maybe. I'm not wrong in that, right? This is original art.
Let me look. Yeah, that's completely original, and it's totally a callback to the original beginner box with Ezrin and the dragon.
Well, this time I like that it's got the 4 iconic characters that you can play. They're the 4 pre-made characters in the box, so when you open the box, it gives you that feel of like, oh, hey, I've seen this character on the cover art, so they are as important as any other character in this box.
Mm-hmm. Also, it's a really tiny dragon. In the original beginner box, it was that large black dragon, or was it? It was a huge black dragon in the original beginner box on the art, and so much so that it was the original. It was the original prize mini by the box mini when Pathfinder mini started. The mini that a lot of people were disappointed with because it's a very tiny, huge dragon. When we have other examples of very great huge dragons in the Pathfinder line. Really good huge dragons that were produced.
This was their first.
This is WizKids'
It's a good looking miniature.
It's great.
It's a little small.
It's on the wrong size base. Sorry, I have to have fun with this one. I own this thing. I'll never give it up. I love it. I really do. It's tiny. They did the same thing with that red dragon, but the awesome thing about the red dragon is they eventually put it on the smaller base when they re-released it. So awesome. That was cool. They didn't do that with the black dragon. At least I'm not aware. But at least
Luis
this
is in
time,
chat saying that Black Fang, which is the name of the black dragon from the first box, was large. Are you sure? Yeah, no, I do believe that the miniature,
the miniature's on the huge base.
Yeah,
like it's right here. I have it.
I believe you. I've seen it before, and I do remember it being a retail incentive, getting the first huge dragon in the Pathfinder Battles line.
Yeah. On that note, I do like that, this is very obviously a large dragon and not a huge dragon.
Sorry, I'm just loading up PathfinderBattles.com.
Oh, yeah.
No, PathfinderMinis.com. Is that the name of it?
We haven't used that site in so long. We haven't done mini previews in a while.
Yes, you're right. We haven't. Let's see. Anyway, this is taking too much time. No, wait, I think I found it. No, I haven't. Oh, wait, there we go. Huge black dragon. It's listed as a huge black dragon. Just wanted to refamiliarize myself with it because right now this is at Ariadne's house. And I don't even know where Ari's living at this point. She's moved apartments a couple of times.
So it's a cool idea of the box, and I kind of hope that it grows the player base. It certainly grew the player base in my area, and that's one of the reasons we, for a very, very tiny city of just a few thousand people, add 4 tables of PFS.
You ready to wrap things up, Perram?
Yep.
Don't
do it violently.
We'll be right back to wrap things up right after this.
Wrap-ups and shout-outs. Wrap-ups and shout-outs. Wrap-ups. Wrap-ups and shout-outs.
I hope we're back.
Why wouldn't we be back?
I don't know. There was explosions and crashes, and you disappeared.
I dropped my cell phone because I was reaching it to get to open up my podcatcher for the next podcast shout out that I've been doing, which I will get to in a second. But thank you for joining us for episode 225 of No Direction, the No Direction Network's Pathfinder News, Reviews, and Interviews podcast. Thank you to David Silver for coming on the show and just showing what true overlap there is between RPGs and ponies. Before we go, what do you mean? There was a whole rant on Stranger Things where they talk about how being a My Little Pony nerd is basically the same as being a Dungeons & Dragons nerd. It's season 3. It's Dustin.
Well, if you are
his sister, it was wonderful.
Yeah, but that's been common knowledge since way before that show even came out. I mean,
you say common knowledge, but did it get mainstream attention like one of the most popular TV shows or streaming shows?
Considering MLP is one of the most popular TV shows that's ever been.
It is. Listen. I love My Little Pony, but it is no Stranger Things as far as mainstream popularity.
Okay. But what I'm saying is the show has been unabashedly very D&D focused since its inception. There's tons of
that's
D&D
what Stranger
references.
Thing argues.
Yeah, but we were talking about this years before. Whatever. Go on.
So the next podcast in my podcatcher to give a shout out to is Freakonomics. So when I shouted out to 99% Invisible, most of what I said about that show, I'm going to say about Freakonomics. It's just one of those shows that makes me feel smarter having listened to it. It's one of those shows that in casual conversation, I will be saying like, oh, and I heard on a recent Freakonomics, and quote some interesting fact that they look at current events and current political situations from an economical point of view, which is often a lot drier, more data focused, and really it takes a lot of spin out of things that are going on. And just I feel really well informed about issues when I listen to Freakonomics cover them more than if I were to listen to, say, the news. So Freakonomics it's been going on for a long time. There are multiple books. Actually, this is the podcast is a spin-off of the book, but the podcast is original content every week. It's Stephen Levitt and Stephen Dubner. The authors of the book are putting out these episodes where they are covering just a multitude of topics, and there's some of them that are reoccurring, like just how there's really no control over safety standards of baby seats, and they don't know why. They don't know why there are rules for them, but no actual data making these rules. This is the kind of thing that frustrates them as economists, and even though I am very far from an economist, I feel like I am at least learning their perspective by listening to their podcast. So, it's a podcast. It's a favorite of mine. I will usually listen to it when a new episode comes out. There are a couple of them that, if the topic doesn't interest me, it might go to the bottom of my list. But I think I tend to go back to them, and I would be surprised if there is a Freakonomics episode I have not listened to that's come out in the last several years.
Awesome. I have never paid attention to that, and now I have this strong urge to do that. Okay. For my first shout out, I want to shout out to another Humble bundle that's going on. It just launched today. It is the Humble 3D printable Dungeons and Dragons Lair terrain bundle. Disclosure, a lot of the products in this are from Fat Dragon Games, a company I used to do work for. And it actually includes products I actually worked on. But they're good products. I liked them because they was good. So it's got some paper dungeons for those of you without a 3D printer that want some 3D terrain. But for those of you that may have recently acquired a 3D printer right before it became very hard to do that, you can totally get a really good discount on a lot of like really high quality 3D parts, including two of my favorite sets, which is the Fat Dragon Games Dragon Lock set for the dungeons and the Dragon Lock buildings. So you can build your villages, you can build your dungeons, you can build your sewers. You can actually stack all these things on top of each other and make a gigantic, way too big plastic thing on your table. And then all the scatter terrain you could want for it to fill it up with, as well as several other companies. It's got a farm. I never even saw this farm before. I'm probably going to pledge to this. It's like the top tier is $15, okay? I'm probably going to pledge to this just to get that freaking farm because I need farms. And there's not a lot of people that put farms out. They build blacksmiths, they build stables, they build barns, but they forget the crops. The closest I found was like a Japanese rice farm, okay? And that's great if I was playing in Tian Sha, but not many of my campaigns go to Tian Sha right now. But if they did, there's actually a ton of Asian terrain in here for some reason, which, that's great. I have none of that and could use it next time I do a Tian Sha campaign. But anyway, it's cheap. It's cool. If you're interested in 3D printing, go check that out. And the charity it's doing right now is Direct Relief, which is a disaster-related medical charity that goes to underprivileged areas. And you can bet they're busy right now.
So finally, I want to shout out to a lot of the movement that's been going on in the network. We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks, and we're finally starting to bear fruit. So last Wednesday was a Geek Together recording.
Mhm.
And instead of gaming, I just took the opportunity, or I tried to talk to the three new staff members that we've brought over from Intrepid Heroes. So John Godek, Ron Lundeen, and Andrew Sturdivant.
Okay. I
have
haven't heard
challenged
that
myself
pronounced
to
yet,
know.
so.
Yeah, we have a conversation about it at the beginning of the episode. Yeah, Andrew Sturdivant. So we talked a little bit about the inception of Intrepid Heroes, and then we were going to talk about who they are as geeks. But I was producing that show, so as you can imagine, things happened. Did not go well. It led to an additional hour of content that was just me talking to the people in chat that I released anyway because it amused me, called the Chaos Cut. So there were 2 episodes of Geek Together that came out this week. One of which was pretty much a complete interview with the 3 new Intrepid staff. One of which was my descent into madness as I was trying to deal with technical difficulties while entertaining the people that are watching at home and not acknowledge that, or sorry, not leave any dead space.
I'm glad you get periodic reminders of what I have to deal with.
Well, thank you for all you do. Yeah. I think I mentioned that in my ranting of just trying to come up with things to say.
Also, Digital Divinity, they put that out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm not done.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, so starting on Monday, we've got Andrew's first blog post. It is actually the conclusion of his Rakshasas in Space series that was imported over, which brought to my attention the fact that we don't actually have a name for his blog because it was just going by Rakshasas in Space. And now that that's concluded, he's going to go on to his next series of blogs. But we are still working on an umbrella name for what Andrew is contributing to the site. And then Tuesday, the day after that, Digital Divinations came out. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, that is where Ron and John, the new crew, are doing a very short topical Starfinder podcast, much in the vein of what 3.5 Private Sanctuary was. If for those of our listeners, our longtime listeners that do remember that show fondly. It is with Ron being, of course, somebody that's working on Starfinder, and John being a very knowledgeable Uber fan with strong connections to the community. It is an interesting way to do a topic, and they're not alone in that because it was such a good idea that
we are also launching Legend Lore with Luis and Lauren, and I actually have already listened to the first episode. They sent it to me because they wanted some feedback on it. It will be coming out on Tuesday, and it's right up there with the Digital Divinations. It's strong, topic driven. It is about a Paizo developer talking to a super fan of the system about a single topic every episode, and then answering some fan questions. So Digital Divinations first episode talked about game balance. Luis and Lauren on Legend Lore will be talking about character creation, and we even had somebody in Discord saying, like, I'm new to 2E, what should I do, what resources do I have to understand how character creation works? As soon as that episode launches, I'm going to track that person down and be like, this is exactly what you were looking for, and it was already in the works before you even asked. So both of those are going to be every 2 weeks. They're going to be on alternating Tuesdays. Digital Divinations, as you might guess from the name, is the Starfinder podcast. Legend Lore is the Pathfinder 2E podcast.
So right now, if you are a No Direction fan, on Mondays you get alternating Adventuresses and Soon Stellars. I know soon because we just got done. We've recorded 4 episodes that haven't hit the feed yet, and that's a lot of episodes. And Adventurous, which has been hitting the feed pretty regular for a bit now, it's fantastic.
Stage whisper, Perram. You can't actually whisper. You have to modify your voice to sound like you're whispering, but actually be clear. We've talked about stage whispers before.
We have?
Yes, a stage whisper. It's if someone's on stage and they have to whisper, you still need the audience to hear them.
All right. So I told you I can't do voices. I can't do voices at all. But they're great. They're great. On Tuesdays, it'll be alternating Digital Divinations and Legend Lore. On Wednesdays, it's No Direction. And
that's when we record.
Yeah, we record No Direction and No Direction Beyond, and Geek Together is shuffled in there. And
there will also be the interview series that will be released on Wednesdays.
Yeah, because also in addition to great actual play with Intrepid Adventurers, the John crew were doing interviews that were really insightful, like in-person interviews, because he lives right there and is able to literally take a microphone into Paizo's office, which you can't do anymore until the office is open again.
It'd be pretty pointless.
Yeah. It's like you just hold it to the door. No.
So, room tone. How do you feel about working at Paizo? Did you just bust out some white noise?
Yep.
Well done.
And on Thursday, which is actually usually midnight-ish Wednesday, or actually midnight-ish Thursday. Sometimes it's like 11:50. Basically, I get start working on this thing right after we're done recording them, and then I try to post them. You will get, No Direction and No Direction Beyond and Geek Together, the usual flagship shows of the network. And on Fridays,
we have the recording of Adventurous, or every other Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a consistent Friday recording yet, but we are working on some new stuff that's going to be coming out. We haven't announced it yet, and until I know for sure.
When we're doing Intrepid Adventures, isn't that its slot, or is it Saturday?
Oh yeah, oh, sorry, yes. Okay, go into that.
Every other week,
about the other thing that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, we haven't announced that yet. Okay. We never mind. I'm not gonna edit that out. So we're doing Intrepid Adventures every other Friday. And it's great having these alternating awesome content that Starfinder and Pathfinder and geeky stuff on all the days. And so we're very sorry to some of our fans, because this is the first time we've ever merged with another pod. Is it really? Is this the first time we've merged with another podcast? I don't know.
Brought in, yeah. Yes.
I know we've had partnerships with other podcasts before, but this means that we didn't know that by putting all those in as the back feed, that some of you all downloaded 70 episodes all at once, and we're really sorry about that. We didn't know that was going to happen. We won't do that again, likely, because I don't know how often we're going to merge with other really awesome podcasts, but it's not something we have on the schedule. Do it every Tuesday.
No, but on that note, people may have seen that Dashing Dwarves is joining the No Direction Network. That was an April Fool's joke that did not get the usual response that our April Fool's jokes get. And so I just want to make sure that it was clear that Dashing Dwarves is not a thing. There are no actual play adventure path speedrun podcasts, to my knowledge.
And we also need to say the other one. Dustin did a fantastic little set of graphics in the great article for April Fools about our new rolling app that partners with Roll20 to give you microtransactions to re-roll your D20 before your GM sees it. Again, that's an April Fool's joke.
Or you watch an ad to pick up the die that drops on the floor
in
145 seconds.
Or you can pay $200 or $2.50. Well, $2.50 to get past that, so that you can pick the die up immediately.
It was a brilliant satire of a really obnoxious microtransaction heavy tool that people kind of, I guess, glanced at, because no one was particularly rolling on the floor laughing like they should have been.
No, a few people thought we were really doing it, so sorry about that.
Well, because I think people liked the idea of a branded die rolling app, and the idea of Roll20 integration is a good one.
Yeah, there's that one I saw at Gen Con, that D20 that I entered, like a physical D20 that integrates with Roll20. That's amazing! Please sell it to me soon. I saw it work at Gen Con. I want one.
So yeah, I think the problem was that the premise, before it started to get absurd, was much better than it had any right to be for an April Fool's joke.
Also, the art was way too good.
Yeah, it's well put together. He used a legitimate ad and like a current ad that I do see showing up in my apps. He did good. He really, the only reason this wasn't more successful was because of how successful he was at creating something that looked professional. Whereas if you look at Dashing Dwarves, my art, I don't think could be misconstrued for anything that would actually be out there. Especially the Super Mario one.
The article was really good, though.
I had fun with it. It made me realize, though, that my 2E sense of humor, my Pathfinder sense of humor is still 1E mechanic based. So like I got a reference to Point Spy and Leadership Feat being banned, both of which are, I thought they were funny juxtaposed with much wilder allowances, but they are not relevant to 2E. So I gotta catch up on my humor.
Well, no, there's a point buy system now in
I
2E.
suppose.
Yeah.
But as a joke, it's
Right.
more of a reference to 1E.
Yeah. We still don't have a leadership feat. And I hope we never get it. Is that better? Did I do it right that time?
Yes.
Great! Oh, my last shout out. I'm going to shout out to all your favorite artists on Patreon right now. Freelance artists are also struggling because the companies that paid them are struggling right now. If you make books and art for RPGs that can no longer hit the distribution chain, you're worried a little bit right now. And this is a great time to, look at all those cool benefits you get from various Patreon campaigns. My Patreon list kind of went from a few to it has a scroll bar now. And it might be a good idea if, for those of you who are doing well, to maybe share some of that, fortune with your favorite artists that you hope to continue to be an artist later.
Yeah, I know I've got a potential Boss Fight Studios order because I know that they have. Oh, actually, they did something really cool. So, Boss Fight Studios, my favorite action figure company, they're a small studio, so all right. There's a few things about Boss Fight I could talk about here. So, at New York Toy Fair this past, I think it was in February, they announced they had some really cool licenses. They had the Flash Jordan, Flash. Is it Flash Jordan? The Flash.
Flash Gordon.
Gordon, yeah, there we go. Something seemed wrong about that.
It's a gift.
They got the rights to do Flash Gordon action figures. They surprised everyone with Phantom action figure line. There were a couple of new licenses that they announced, and then somebody else on the same toy floor also announced those same licenses. And so, I don't know what kind of moral blow that was to them, because these were things that I knew they were excited to be announcing soon. So anyway, they are not in their warehouses. They are not able to ship out right now, or at least not at the rate that they used to be able to. I guess they are still sending one person into the warehouse to ship things out by themselves because they've got new things coming out. But a cool new thing that they are doing is that they are doing action figure customizing classes, where if you sign up now, you get a box of action figures, each in a sealed bag with a letter on it. And you also get signed up for, I believe, 8 courses, each with a different technique that you learn. And you are told at the beginning to open up the bag relevant to that course, and that's the first time you see the action figure. And then they walk you through the painting process, the various techniques that they'll be using. So I think that's a really clever way of getting through the hard times of these are experts when it comes to action figures. They sell a line that has customizer appeal, and so here is a way that they can make money. We as an audience can benefit from it. Everybody wins. I think there's a lot of stuff like that popping up now. And that's the kind of thing that if you currently are an artist and you rely on the Comic-Con appearance funds and you are wondering how you're going to get through it, I think a good thing to do right now is what teachable skills do I have? What would my audience want from me? And try and deliver that kind of experience to them.
Man, I wish we had a lot more good news.
I know, right about now, we would be saying how many days until Piezocone.
Oh no! And now it's
question
looped.
mark.
Darren Caldemeyer, Piezocone 2021. How many days is it?
We don't know the date yet. We don't know a lot of things about that.
Guess. I'm gonna say.
Guess.
I'm gonna say 382. It's 382 till my fictional Piezocone 2021.
I gotta say that's a pretty solid guess. By the way, Luis in chat says there is the entourage feat, which gets you followers.
Yeah, we also got the name of our own show wrong. It's Intrepid Heroes, not Intrepid Adventurers. Donato Classic, also known as Luis Loza, thank you very much. If you want to know why I'm confused, go watch the latest Let's Play about Let's Play of Adventurous.
No, I think that stuff was pre-show.
Oh, crap, pre-show.
No, but that's kind of a fun anecdote to end on. So Crystal would begin every episode of Adventurous saying, previously on Adventurous, our intrepid heroes were, and then recap. And so it was kind of weird that it's we've got a show called Intrepid Heroes, and she references it, but it's not product placement or anything. It's actually kind of brand confusion. So we talked to her about options, and so it was at one point, I believe, Rob suggested Adventurous Adventurers, which I thought was pretty fun. But no, we went with Adventurous Heroes. So yeah, intrepid heroes, not intrepid adventurers. And I feel bad that I didn't even catch that we made that mistake. I'm glad that Luis did.
Mm-hmm.
Luis says it's 425 days until Memorial Day 2021. So there we go.
Oh, that's a good way to predict Piezocone.
Ready to wrap things up?
We did.
We didn't say goodbyes.
Oh, okay.
This is still the episode.
We're still in the episode.
We are.
I'm streaming. The green light's on. Ryan, why didn't you tell me the green light was on?
Because it's still the episode. I thought this was content.
Oh, well, I'm not editing it out then.
All right. Until next time, I'm Ryan Costello.
And I'm Jefferson J. Thacker, also known as Perram.
Wait, we didn't talk about where people can find out more about us.
They can do so at nodirectionpodcast.com, where they can also find our Discord link over on the right. And I'm totally going to go do that Discord.nodirectionpodcast.com thing that the other guy was doing, because that's great.
The other guy, David Silver, our guest.
I guess David Silver, the Ponyfinder. Yeah, we're gonna do that because that's cool, but it's not done yet. So I need some time to do that, so don't try to go there right now. But at nodirectionpodcast.com, you can find the Discord link over on the right-hand side. Click that, and you will join the chillest community for Pathfinder and Starfinder out there. It's a wonderful place to just enjoy the game and have some fantastic community to talk with, including most of the staff of No Direction, who hang out there all day, every day. We love talking with y'all, and our patrons even have a special chat room that we use. They mostly use, and except for no, they don't. But we do announce stuff that patrons get some inside info there periodically. And if you are a patron, we very much thank you for all the support that you're doing. And if you want to become a patron and help us out right now to keep going. Actually, No Direction, we appreciate all the help. It's kind of business as usual for us. We're still doing episodes because we're stuck at home where all our microphones are. And if you want to support our efforts and see us continue to expand our content and continue to release great episodes of No Direction, Intrepid Heroes, Adventurous, Stellar, and all of the other podcasts on the network, as well as our amazing blog collection at nodirectionpodcast.com, you can do so at patreon.com/nodirection. We literally could not do this without y'all.
Until next time, I'm Ryan Costello.
And I am Jefferson J. Thacker, also known as Hoofnote.
If you want to find the path, you need No Direction.